And the only thing we know is that humans broke away from apes 4 million years ago. And that's about all we know. When you make a claim that there are modern, unclassified, gigantic primates roaming North America that share human mitochondrial DNA to the exact measurement, that's quite a claim. In fact, in a word, it's impossible.
Hi, I'm Evelyn. It's nice to meet you. I am very excited this week about all the information that's been coming out with respect to Ardipithecus ramidus, and which is a hominid that is a million years older than the Australopithecine?
Oh,
or is that not your area of expertise?
I could say something about this, but let me just sum it up this way.
Yes.
If you're in the paleontology business, right, you have to find new stuff. And the oldest to find something, well, you outdo someone that found it a little bit before you. So whenever something new comes out, the next person wants to find something that's even older and more primitive. And the truth is, it's like a nuclear arm race now, and it's really lost its footing, because as time goes on, everybody goes farther back in time to try to find the earliest ancestor. And you have to ask yourself, how is it that we prove this?
Hi, Fasano Tampa here. In my blog, BigfootResearcher.com, recently I've been exploring the scientific discoveries in pre-man, such as Neanderthal and Homo erectus, Australopithecus africanus in the form of Lucy, discovered by Dr. Leakey in Ethiopia. Most people accept these as scientific facts, when in reality, they're dubious at best, and were put forth by ambitious scientists who are desperate to acquire continued funding in their research projects at the academic level. Dr. Sarmiento, and the rest of his talk here on the Blog Talk radio program, will tell you how he thinks that it's merely shuck and jive what these scientists are doing. That we really don't know much about our ancestors, or even what's related to us. And the only thing we know is that humans broke away from apes 4 million years ago. And that's about all we know. When you make a claim that there are modern, unclassified, gigantic primates roaming North America that share human mitochondrial DNA to the exact measurement, that's quite a claim. In fact, in a word, it's impossible, to the level of being preposterous. And that's why you don't see Dr. Sarmiento connected with this project in any way. Here.
And I think you're talking about the recent fossil called Ardipithecus ramidus, right?
Well, it's not necessarily a recent finding. The original finding was back in 1992.
That's right. But it wasn't described. It's a recent description.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I know that. And the thing is that we know, like from comparative anatomy and biomolecular studies, that probably the human African ape split doesn't occur much before 4 million years. And if we knew what this fossil looked like exactly, what the animal looked like exactly, we'd still have a hard time telling if it was a human or an African ape ancestor, at 3 million years, say. Even if we knew, we have a hard time. So basically, what it is, if I'm a paleontologist and I go out and find a chimpanzee ancestor and say, this is a chimpanzee ancestor, I wouldn't get as much grant money. But if I say it's a human ancestor, then I get the grant money.
Well, that's so unfortunate.
And I get more of the attention. you see what I'm so what I'm trying to tell you about this fossil, you know, the 92 Ardipithecus ramidus, it was found in 92. It wasn't described. It was, you know, they worked on it for many years. Now that it's out, there really is no reason to believe that it's a human ancestor as opposed to a chimpanzee or African ancestor. In fact, all of the characters seem to predate humans and African ape split. That means it predates the time humans split from African apes. And it might be an ancestor of our group, or it might not be. Did you want to ask me a question? I just answered one without you asking.
No, that was wonderful. In fact, I appreciate everything that you had
usually
to say.
what we
I
do,
heard you loud and clear.
Yeah, usually what we do, we find characters that humans have, that chimpanzees have, together, like some of the things we have, you know, together. And if we don't find them in this fossil, then we can say this fossil either isn't related to us or came before we and chimpanzees developed these characters together. You understand what I'm saying? It sounds
almost like it's a creation as opposed to any kind of a.
Well, what it is, if I'm pressed, if I've worked for 30 years on this, I'm not going to come out and say this is garbage. I can just keep my mouth shut about it. Or if I want to keep the funding coming, I'm going to come and say, all right, this is important because of A, B, and C, and let other people work it out if it is or it isn't. But okay. I think the truth is, I sort of won the war when it becomes a national publicity media event. Right?
Exactly.
I won the war. I sort of won the war, whether it is or it isn't. And right. A lot of this stuff that comes out, I mean, you can go back through 20 years of newspaper, and what you see is just one, you know, superlative fossil over another that has to do with human origins. But none of them can be that way. And in fact, we really don't know that much at this point to be so sure. I mean, one of the things we can say, what if it is true that Bigfoot exists, and you know, it is a real animal that's living right now. We don't even know that much about the animals that are related to us, if that's the case.
Mm-hmm.
And these people are thinking they can go back 4 million years and tell you all these things. Well, a lot of it is just bluster and jive. You know?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
All right,
Abe,
more questions?
Yes, Abe, it seems to me as if you had quite a few very good questions. There was one in the chat room I was